Have you ever wondered whether the dashcam protecting you on the road could actually create problems if it's being used the wrong way? Imagine this. You're driving home after work on a rainy evening. Traffic is moving slowly, visibility isn't great, and suddenly another vehicle pulls out without warning. There's a collision. Thankfully, nobody is seriously hurt, but both drivers immediately begin telling completely different versions of what happened. Fortunately, you have a dashcam. You feel relieved because you've got the entire incident recorded. But then a surprising question comes up. Is your footage actually usable? Was the camera installed correctly? Have you accidentally recorded more than you should have? Could uploading that footage online later create privacy issues? And if you're using the dashcam for work rather than personal driving, do different rules apply? These aren't questions most drivers think about until after something has happened. And by then, it's often too late to change anything. That's exactly why today's video is so important. Because while dashcams remain completely legal across the UK, many drivers are still confused about what they can and can't do with the footage they record. Social media is filled with dramatic claims saying dashcams are becoming illegal. That drivers could receive huge fines just because they recorded another vehicle. Or that everyone now needs government permission to use one. The truth is much less dramatic, but it's also far more useful. There aren't new rules banning dashcams. Instead, what every driver needs to understand is how existing privacy laws, data protection responsibilities, and safe installation practices affect the way these devices are used in 2026. And that's exactly what we'll cover today. By the end of this video, you'll know where your dashcam should be fitted. When recorded footage becomes sensitive information. Whether you should leave audio recording switched on. What happens if police ask for your recordings? How insurers use dashcam evidence. And the common mistakes that could easily be avoided with just a little preparation. So make sure you stay with us until the end, because one mistake that many drivers make after uploading footage online is something almost nobody talks about, and it could save you a great deal of unnecessary trouble. Now, let's begin with the basics. Over the past decade, dashcams have gone from being specialist gadgets used by enthusiasts to something you can find in millions of vehicles across the country. Walk through any supermarket car park. Drive along a busy motorway. Or sit at a set of traffic lights during rush hour. And chances are several vehicles around you will have cameras fitted to their windscreens. It's easy to understand why. Driving has become busier than ever. Roads are more congested. Insurance claims can be complicated. False allegations occasionally happen. Hit-and-run incidents still occur. Parking damage is an everyday frustration for many motorists. In all of these situations, having an independent recording can make an enormous difference. Instead of relying solely on memory or conflicting witness statements, insurers and investigators can review actual footage of what happened. That's one reason why many insurance companies look favorably on dashcam users. Some insurers even offer discounts or incentives because reliable evidence can reduce disputes and speed up the claims process. For many motorists, fitting a dashcam isn't about recording exciting moments. It's about peace of mind. Knowing that if something unexpected happens, there's an objective record of the event. But despite all these advantages, there are still several misunderstandings about what owning a dashcam actually involves. Some people believe that once they buy the camera, they can mount it anywhere they like. Others assume every clip they record can be uploaded straight to social media without a second thought. Some never check whether the microphone is recording conversations inside the vehicle. Others install the camera once and never test it again, assuming everything is working perfectly for years. In reality, a dashcam is only as useful as the way it's installed and used. A poorly positioned camera might obstruct part of your view. An incorrectly configured device might fail to record when you need it most. A worn-out memory card could silently stop saving footage altogether. And publishing identifiable recordings online without thinking about privacy can create entirely different issues from simply recording a journey for personal protection. The important thing to remember is that none of these problems happen because dashcams are illegal. They happen because technology comes with responsibilities. Think about smartphones for a moment. Owning a smartphone isn't a legal problem. But how you use it certainly matters. The same principle applies to dash cams. The device itself isn't the issue. It's how it's used. And that's why understanding the rules matters far more than believing internet rumors. One of the biggest myths circulating online is that there are brand new dashcam privacy rules that suddenly make millions of existing cameras non-compliant overnight. That's simply not the case. What's actually happening is that more drivers are asking sensible questions about privacy because modern dashcams have become far more advanced than the simple recording devices people were buying several years ago. Today's models don't just capture video. Many record crystal clear 4K footage. Some include GPS tracking that logs exactly where the vehicle has traveled. Others automatically save recordings to cloud storage. Some continue recording while the vehicle is parked. Many have built-in Wi-Fi, allowing footage to be transferred instantly to a mobile phone. And an increasing number also record audio inside the cabin. Each new feature makes the technology more useful. But it also means more information is being collected than ever before. That naturally raises important questions. Who should have access to these recordings? How long should they be kept? Can someone ask for footage to be deleted? Should registration plates be blurred before videos are shared publicly? Do business drivers have different responsibilities compared with private motorists? What if your camera records pedestrians, cyclists, or neighbors while your vehicle is parked? These are genuine questions. Unfortunately, many people try to answer them using rumors rather than reliable guidance. That's exactly what we're going to avoid today. Rather than focusing on myths or exaggerated headlines, we'll look at the practical things every UK driver should know. Because once you understand the principles, most of the confusion disappears. You'll know how to install your camera sensibly. You'll understand when privacy becomes relevant. You'll know how to handle recordings responsibly. And you'll be able to enjoy all the benefits of having a dashcam without worrying about making avoidable mistakes. So now that we've covered why this topic matters, let's move on to the first area where many drivers unknowingly get things wrong. The position of the dashcam itself. Because before your camera records a single second of footage, where it's mounted on your windscreen could already make a significant difference. The first thing many drivers do after buying a dashcam is exactly the same. They open the box, peel off the adhesive pad, stick the camera somewhere on the windscreen, plug in the power cable, and assume the job is finished. It feels like one of the simplest accessories you can install in a car. But this is actually where one of the most common mistakes begins. The position of your dashcam matters far more than many people realize. Not because there's a law saying a dashcam can't be fitted, but because every driver has a legal responsibility to maintain a clear view of the road ahead. Your windscreen isn't just another piece of glass. It's your primary view of everything happening in front of your vehicle. Traffic lights, road signs, pedestrians, cyclists, motorcyclists, emergency vehicles. Everything you need to react safely passes through that field of vision. That's why anything attached to the windscreen deserves careful thought. And remember, a dashcam isn't the only thing that can create an obstruction. Phone holders, satellite navigation units, parking permits, large air fresheners, decorations, even charging cables hanging across the glass. All of these can become distractions if they're not positioned carefully. Now, does that mean every object on your windscreen is illegal? Not at all. The key question is whether it interferes with your ability to see the road safely. Imagine approaching a busy junction during heavy rain. You're checking both directions, watching for pedestrians stepping off the pavement, looking for cyclists filtering through traffic, monitoring the traffic lights. If your dashcam blocks even a small part of that view, it could hide something important for a split second. And sometimes, a split second is all it takes for an accident to happen. That's why positioning your camera correctly isn't just about following guidance. It's about protecting yourself and everyone else using the road. Fortunately, getting it right is usually very straightforward. Most manufacturers recommend mounting the dashcam high on the windscreen, close to the rearview mirror. There's a good reason for this. That area is already partially occupied by the mirror itself. Drivers naturally don't spend much time looking directly through that section of the windscreen. Keeping the camera tucked neatly beside or behind the mirror means it can record the road ahead without becoming an unnecessary distraction. When you sit in your normal driving position, you shouldn't find yourself looking around the camera. Your eye should move naturally across the road without the dashcam drawing your attention. If it immediately catches your eye every time you look ahead, it's probably worth adjusting. Something else that's often overlooked is the camera angle. Some drivers point the lens too high. The recording ends up showing mostly sky. Others point it too low and capture far too much of the dashboard. Some accidentally tilt the camera, making every recording appear slanted. It might not seem like a major issue. But if you're ever involved in an accident, poor camera positioning can reduce the value of the footage. The goal is simple. You want a clear, level view of the road ahead. Enough of the carriageway should be visible to understand what's happening, while still capturing traffic signs, lane markings, and surrounding vehicles. Fortunately, most dashcams include a live preview on the screen or through a smartphone app. Spend a few minutes checking the image before you start relying on it. It's much easier to make small adjustments now than to discover months later that every recording has been pointing in the wrong direction. Now let's talk about another mistake that's surprisingly common. The power cable. Many people install the dashcam and allow the charging cable to hang loosely from the windscreen down to the power socket. It works. The camera switches on. Everything appears fine. But loose wiring can quickly become untidy. It can distract the driver. It may interfere with controls. And depending on the vehicle, poorly routed cables could even affect the deployment path of curtain airbags located around the windscreen pillars. Modern vehicles are carefully designed with safety systems hidden behind the interior trim. That's why many installers tuck the cable neatly behind the headlining and door pillar trim, keeping everything secure and out of sight. It not only looks far more professional but also reduces unnecessary distractions while driving. Once the installation is complete, don't stop there. Test it. Record a short journey around your neighborhood. When you get home, watch the footage back. Can you clearly read road signs? Are number plates reasonably visible in daylight? Does the image remain stable over bumps? Is there excessive glare from the windscreen? What about nighttime driving? Streetlights, headlights, and reflections can all affect image quality. It's worth checking how your camera performs under different conditions before you actually need the footage. Another simple habit is checking your dashcam every few weeks. Many people assume that because the screen lights up, everything is recording correctly. Unfortunately, that's not always true. Memory cards eventually wear out. Files can become corrupted. Power cables can loosen over time. A quick review of a recent recording takes less than a minute but gives you confidence that the system is working exactly as expected. Now let's imagine something else. You're involved in a collision. The police arrive. Your insurer asks whether you have dashcam footage. You confidently say yes. But when you remove the memory card, you discover it stopped recording several weeks ago because the storage had failed. It happens more often than many drivers realize. Dashcams continuously write data to the same memory card over and over again. Unlike ordinary storage cards used occasionally in cameras, dashcam memory cards work every time the engine starts. That constant writing eventually causes wear. This is why manufacturers often recommend using high-endurance memory cards specifically designed for continuous recording. Replacing them periodically can be a worthwhile investment, especially compared with the inconvenience of losing crucial evidence after an accident. There's another feature many drivers overlook as well. The date and time settings. Imagine presenting footage after an incident only to discover the timestamp shows the wrong year or the wrong time of day. While the video itself may still be useful, accurate timestamps strengthen the credibility of your evidence and help investigators understand exactly when events occurred. It's a small detail, but one that's incredibly easy to check. So by now, your dashcam is installed properly. The view is clear. The wiring is tidy. The camera is recording reliably. And you're confident it'll capture the information you need if something unexpected happens. But this is where an entirely different conversation begins. Because once your camera starts recording people, vehicles, and everyday road users, another question naturally follows. What exactly are you allowed to do with that footage? Can you keep it forever? Can you upload it to social media? Should you blur number plates before sharing a clip? And when does an ordinary dashcam recording become something that falls under UK privacy and data protection considerations? Those are the questions we'll answer next, because this is the area where many drivers become confused, and where a few simple habits can help you avoid unnecessary problems altogether. Once your dashcam starts recording your journeys, something interesting happens. The video isn't simply a collection of moving pictures anymore. It may also contain information about real people. Think about a typical drive through any UK town. Within just a few minutes, your camera could record dozens of vehicles. Pedestrians crossing at traffic lights. Cyclists using dedicated lanes. Parents walking children to school. Delivery drivers making stops. Taxi passengers getting in and out of vehicles. Bus passengers waiting at shelters. Neighbors outside their homes. Dog walkers in local parks. All of these people may appear in your recording without you ever intending to film them. That's completely normal. Dashcams are designed to capture what's happening on the road around your vehicle. But because the footage can sometimes identify individuals, questions about privacy naturally arise. Now here's where many drivers become confused. They hear terms like UK GDPR, data protection, personal information, and immediately assume that using a dashcam must now be illegal. That simply isn't true. In fact, millions of motorists across the UK continue using dashcams every day without experiencing any privacy issues at all. The reason is actually quite straightforward. If you're using your dashcam for genuine personal purposes, such as protecting yourself while driving, keeping evidence in case of an accident, or recording your everyday journeys, the law generally treats that very differently from someone operating surveillance for business purposes. In other words, recording your daily drive to work isn't the same as running a commercial CCTV system. That's an important distinction. For most private motorists, the footage stays exactly where it belongs. On the memory card. Or safely stored until it's needed after an incident. Many recordings are never viewed again. They're automatically overwritten after several days or weeks as new journeys replace older ones. And that's perfectly normal. The problems usually don't begin while you're recording. They begin afterwards. Specifically, when drivers decide to share footage publicly without thinking about what else appears in the recording. Let's imagine a common situation. You're driving home. Another vehicle suddenly changes lanes without indicating. You brake sharply. Your dashcam captures everything. Nothing serious happens, but you're frustrated. When you arrive home, you decide to upload the clip to social media. Maybe you're hoping people will agree the other driver was careless. Maybe you simply want to warn others. Or perhaps you're posting it because dramatic driving videos receive lots of views online. At first, that might seem harmless. After all, it's your dashcam. Your recording. Your vehicle. But once that footage becomes publicly available, the situation changes. You're no longer keeping a private record for your own protection. You're distributing images of other road users. Perhaps their face is visible. Maybe their vehicle registration plate can be clearly read. Maybe pedestrians walking nearby are also identifiable. Without even realizing it, you've moved from private recording into public sharing. And that's where privacy considerations become much more important. This doesn't mean you can never upload dashcam footage. It simply means you should think carefully before doing so. One of the easiest ways to reduce privacy concerns is by removing information that identifies other people. Today, that's remarkably simple. Many video editing apps allow you to blur number plates automatically. Others let you blur faces with just a few taps. Some dashcam manufacturers even include built-in editing tools before footage is exported. Those few extra minutes can make a significant difference. The important part of the incident remains visible. People can still understand exactly what happened. But unnecessary personal details have been removed. It's a responsible habit that's becoming increasingly common among experienced dashcam users. Another question people often ask is, how long should I keep my recordings? There's no single number that's suitable for everyone. It depends entirely on why the footage is being kept. If nothing unusual happened during your journey, there's rarely any reason to archive months and months of ordinary driving. Most dashcams automatically overwrite older recordings when the memory card becomes full. That's one of their most useful features. The system quietly manages storage without you needing to delete files manually. However, if you're involved in an accident, witness dangerous driving, or capture footage that may become important later, that's different. In those situations, it's sensible to save the relevant recording before it's overwritten. Copy it somewhere secure. Keep the original file. And avoid making unnecessary edits until any insurance claim or investigation has been completed. Speaking of edits, here's another mistake that catches people out. Many drivers immediately trim their footage. They remove the first few minutes. Cut out sections they think aren't important. Add captions. Zoom into the impact. Sometimes they even add background music before sending it to friends. While that's understandable for social media, it's not always the best idea if the footage may later be needed as evidence. Insurance companies and police often prefer the original recording. Why? Because context matters. What happened 30 seconds before the collision may explain why the collision occurred. Perhaps another driver had already been driving aggressively. Maybe traffic lights changed unexpectedly. Road signs. Weather conditions. Vehicle positioning. All of these details help build the complete picture. An edited clip can unintentionally remove information that's actually important. That's why the safest approach is simple. Keep the original recording exactly as your dashcam captured it. If you want to create a shorter version for personal viewing later, that's entirely separate. But always preserve the untouched original until the matter has been resolved. Now let's talk about something that almost nobody thinks about until they're asked for it. Police access. Many drivers assume the police can automatically access every dashcam recording whenever they want. That's not how it works. If your footage is relevant to an investigation, for example, you've witnessed a collision, captured dangerous driving, or recorded an incident under investigation, the police may ask whether you're willing to provide a copy. In many situations, motorists choose to cooperate because the footage may help establish exactly what happened. Likewise, insurers may request recordings when dealing with a claim. Having clear, original footage can often speed up decisions and reduce disputes between drivers. In fact, some insurance cases that might otherwise take weeks to resolve can be settled much more quickly because independent video evidence removes much of the uncertainty. So while privacy matters, it's equally important to remember why dashcams became so popular in the first place. They're there to protect you, to provide reliable evidence, to help establish facts, and to give you confidence that if something unexpected happens, you are not relying solely on memory. But there's one feature we've barely mentioned so far. And surprisingly, it creates privacy questions even before anyone watches the video. It's the microphone. Because many dashcams don't just record what happens outside your vehicle. They also record everything happening inside it. And that's exactly what we'll explore next. Now let's focus on one feature that's built into many modern dashcams but often goes unnoticed until someone points it out. The microphone. When people buy a dashcam, they're usually comparing video quality. Is it Full HD? Is it 2K? Does it record in 4K? How well does it perform at night? Does it have parking mode? Very few people ask one simple question. Is the microphone switched on? In many cases, the answer is yes. Straight out of the box, the camera may begin recording not only everything happening outside your vehicle, but also every conversation taking place inside it. Now, does that mean you should immediately turn the microphone off? Not necessarily. There are situations where audio can be genuinely useful. Imagine another driver approaches your window after a collision. Perhaps they're making threats. Maybe they admit responsibility before changing their story later. Or perhaps the audio captures important details that help explain what happened. In situations like these, the microphone can provide valuable context alongside the video. However, it's also worth thinking about the other side of the equation. Most journeys don't involve accidents. Most journeys involve ordinary conversations. You might be driving your children to school, giving a friend a lift into town, taking your parents to an appointment, picking up colleagues on the way to work, or chatting with your partner during a weekend trip. Those conversations often include personal information. People talk about work, finances, health, family matters, future plans. Sometimes they discuss things they wouldn't expect to be recorded. If your dashcam microphone is active, all of those conversations may be stored alongside the video. That's why many experienced drivers take a moment to decide whether they actually need audio recording. For everyday driving, the video itself is often more than enough. After all, if an insurer is investigating a collision, they're usually interested in seeing how the vehicles were moving. Traffic signals, road markings, vehicle positions, speed and direction. Those visual details often carry far more weight than casual conversations taking place inside the cabin. Some drivers therefore choose to disable audio completely. It's a personal decision, but one that can simplify privacy considerations without reducing the usefulness of the dashcam for many everyday situations. If you prefer to leave the microphone switched on, there's another sensible habit worth adopting. Let your passengers know. It doesn't need to become a formal announcement. A simple sentence before setting off is often enough. Something like, "Just so you know, the dashcam records audio as well as video." Most people appreciate knowing they're being recorded. It avoids awkward surprises later, especially if the footage ever needs to be reviewed following an incident. Now, things become slightly different if you're driving professionally rather than privately. Suppose you're a taxi driver, a private hire driver, a driving instructor, a courier. And now we'd like to hear from you. Do you currently use a dashcam? Have you ever relied on its footage after an accident? Or are you thinking about installing one for the very first time? Share your experience in the comments below. Your advice could help another driver stay informed and avoid a costly mistake. Thanks for watching, stay safe on the roads, and we'll see you in the next video.